I've done a video about what I wish I would have known about middle school, and I've done one about what I wish I had known about high school. And now, my friends, if you can believe it, it's time to do one about what I wish I had known about dual enrollment / community college with your homeschool. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Tricia, and I'm a homeschooling mom to 3 kids. This is year number 12 for us, and my daughter is getting ready to start her second semester at the community college for dual enrollment. Which, when I started this channel, part of why I started it was because back then, this was, she was just starting 6th grade. There were not many homeschool channels here on YouTube that showed homeschooling beyond the young years. And now, my youngest is the age she was when I started this, which is just crazy to me. It's been a fantastic road. I love these older years. I've talked about that in a lot of other videos. The videos I mentioned about what I wish I would have known about middle school and high school, I will link those down there. So the next time I do one of these, I guess, will be when she goes off to college, which I can't even bear to think about. So, let's get on with the topic so that we don't start me crying already. A few things that I wish I would have known, or I'm glad that we had focused on beforehand. The first one would be using a calendar or a planner. I have shared the planners that she has used in the past. She's been using the plum paper planners. First 2 years, she used the ME customized. This year, she's using the priorities one. And I don't know if I've shared that or not. I know I shared one of the other ones. I think I shared the priorities one. Anyway, I'll leave it down there if you're interested. I am so glad that when she started 9th grade, that we focused on her taking over the planning of things. Because when she started her class here, I didn't have to worry that she wasn't going to get things done because she had already showed me that she knew how to plan in advance, plan out the steps, and be ready to take it over. When I started with her for 9th grade, that year we had 2 co-op classes that did give more specifics as far as what was due each week. And at the beginning of that year, we went through and worked on, for the first month or 2, I would help her figure out pacing as far as how to know how many pages to do each day, allowing time for papers, that sort of thing. The classes she did with me, it was more that I would just give her like a unit and said this needs to be done by this day, and then we figured it out from there. So that's kind of how we trained. I guided her to do it. So when she started here, I didn't have to do anything. I don't think I ever saw a paper syllabus of hers, actually. She just took it over. At the beginning of the semester, she went through, filled out her calendar for when all the assignments were due, papers were due, and then each week, usually on the weekend, she would plan out what her week would look like and kind of a rough schedule for the day, roughly. And so that was probably one of the best things that I did. I didn't know it was going to be so helpful. I didn't start out with 9th grade with that in mind. I just knew that I didn't want to have to be responsible for all of her day-to-day planning anymore. And so it worked out really well for her. But within that, it was a lot of discussion about how we budget time and allowing extra time for things on the day that something's due, having it done the day before so that if you have any technology errors uploading it or any of that kind of thing, that you've allowed yourself time. One too many times I was printing out paper, a half hour before it was due, in college, and the printer would go down, or there'd be a bunch of other people's, in the computer lab, everyone else's papers were, printing ahead of mine and whatever. So those kind of things were things that we just really talked about that made the transition so much smoother for her. Next thing that I did that I'm glad we did is to balance out your classes. As far as really keeping in mind what your students' strengths and weaknesses are, especially for that first semester. So my daughter wanted to take pre-calc, which was great. I knew she would do fine with it. She enjoys math. She's good at math. And I knew from her Algebra 2 class last year that she was going to be fine. But the next other class she wanted to take was English, and that is not her strong subject. And I knew that pre-calc, while she would do fine in it, it might be a lot of work for her. And English, I knew would be, to get the grade that she would want, would be a lot more work than what she was expecting. So, first semester I said, no, we're not doing that yet. And she chose public speaking instead, which was a class that I knew she would need, or she just needs in general, would probably transfer easily no matter what college she chose, and would not require a ton of work, so that she has a good balance. And it was great. As it turns out, the pre-calc class wasn't as much work as we thought it would be. Public speaking class was about what I thought. She probably could have added a third class or a more difficult second class, but it was also really good that first semester we knew it wasn't going to be overwhelming. And I'm really glad that we chose what we chose. This semester she is doing statistics and U.S. government. She could have gone on to do calculus, but she didn't really have a strong desire to. For what her major is going to be, she doesn't necessarily need it. Depending on the college, some require it, but most do not. Statistics, though, every college we've looked at does require it. So we figured that would be a better one to do. And then U.S. government, she needs it for high school anyway. So we decided to go with that. And again, it's kind of a good balance of math that she's strong at and government, which she somewhat enjoys. But we expect to have a lot of reading. And so a math class and then a class with a lot of reading seemed like a good balance. I hope so. I'm a little bit worried about the government class, if I'm honest. Just wondering about, not knowing what the workload is really going to look like for her. My next tip for you is one that I talked about in the other video, but I want to talk about again here too. And that is, as soon as you can enroll in your classes, enroll. For ours, we had to wait till we got the official enrollment acceptance letter, and then we could enroll. For fall, it worked out okay that we didn't enroll as early as we could have. But in the fall, for this semester, I sent in the email. I tried to enroll in the classes like 3 or 4 days after they opened, and the classes she wanted in the time she wanted were all gone already. So as soon as you get that acceptance letter, get enrolled. So while you're waiting for that time, go through what your course choices are and make some decisions about what you want. We came up with a couple different scenarios depending on what would be available. And again, keeping that balance in mind, so that as soon as you can get in there and get the classes that you want. You're going to be competing for those class slots with a lot of other people, not just homeschoolers, but people in the public schools and the private schools as well. So you just want to make sure that you get your best choices if you can. My next tip is about textbooks. Of course, you've got the bookstore on campus. In North Carolina, we as parents are not responsible for tuition, but we do have to pay for the books. So you can do it through the bookstore. Ours actually goes through Barnes & Noble. It's run through there, but it's on campus. And with COVID, they have it set that they'll do the book selection, everything. You just walk up, place your order, walk up, and they will have the books ready for you, or you can even do curbside pickup. But we chose to go through Amazon textbook rental instead. Now, when you rent the book, no matter when you start it, they all have the same end date, and it's going to be around the end of the semester. For an additional fee, you can extend that if your students' finals are, if they're going to need that book past that date for their finals. And you can do that at the beginning when you check out, or you can do it later, like towards the end of the semester if you realize that you need to keep it longer for whatever reason. They send it to you like you would normally do an Amazon book, and then you just have to pack it up, print out a return slip like you would do any other returns through Amazon, and then take it to a UPS drop-off location. It worked out really well. There was no problems with it. If you don't return it, they just end up charging you for the full price of the book, and then you can just sell it like you would another textbook. So that's what we did. There are other online textbook rental places, but I just went with Amazon because I knew it and I didn't want to have to figure out something else. So yes, you can get through the bookstore, but there are other ways to do it as well for less cost. And the last thing that I wish I would have done before this year, but especially before the beginning of the semester, is to pay for Grammarly. If you don't know what Grammarly is, it's a grammar checker, similar to what you find like in Microsoft Word, but better. The paid version will also do things like helping you to reword things, catch if you're being repetitive, help you set the tone that you mean to set, etc. We had used the free version for our first 2 years, and then in December I finally paid for the full version, which I don't remember how much it cost. It's a yearly fee, but I did a search for a student discount, and I was able to get it much cheaper than what it was on their website. I think the full price may have been like $80 originally, and then I paid less than that. Whatever it was worth it once we started. I guess started in November. She had a couple of other papers after we got it that it definitely helped her. I've been using it for myself, for my blog posts and emails and whatever. It's fantastic. It runs through Chrome or whatever internet browser you're using, but there's also a version that you can put onto your desktop for using, if you use Microsoft Word, for example. And I think it's absolutely fantastic, not only because it's just a good program, but because, you know what? Kids today and us are all used to the casual way we speak on our phones when we're texting and such, and don't always catch those things that, while fine to text to someone, isn't the way you'd want to say it in a college level paper.